I must say I really enjoy uh man, I forget his name, but Mac addresses the channel. But I really enjoy his presentation. I enjoy uh the thought and effort that goes into the scripts that he writes. I enjoy his perspective on these devices. Do I always agree with him? Not so much. Am I fully enveloped into the Apple ecosystem? Also, no. But yeah, here to see if the iPad really has any competition. It's a fair question. I have watched the video, and even before I watched it, I mean, the answer that most people, and myself included, would say is no. The iPad is so far beyond any Android competition, or, uh, I mean, can you compare the iPad to a Windows two-in-one type deal, like a Surface or something? And maybe you could, but the iPad has whatever percentage of the market, which is far greater than any other vendor. Um, so yeah, let's see what he has to say about. I believe he's testing the Samsung Galaxy Tab 8, or I think that's the naming structure of it. But let's find out.
Looks like an iPad, right? Got the flat edge, the rounded liquid retina corners, smart connector, 4 sets of speaker grills. But it's not an iPad. It's a Samsung Galaxy Tab S8. On a Mac channel?
And yeah, even naming structures that all these companies use. Sometimes you're like, all right, dude, like please make it a little more simple. I'm trying to know the name of the product that I'm using. So the Samsung Galaxy Tab S8, I believe is what he said.
Yes, because I've often long wondered why people buy Android tablets. Sure, there are many options available, especially at lower prices. But from what I've read in tech publications and reviews, Android is just nowhere near iPadOS in the tablet space.
And it's interesting that he says from what he's read more so than tried. And so I don't know if he's ever actually tried to use one before. I think it was, well, I don't want to get too ahead of myself or too ahead of him in the video. But personally, I've owned 3 iPads, and all 3 of them were iPad Minis. One was I think the 5th generation. In fact, I think I had a 3rd generation as well briefly, but I ended up trading that in. I bought the first iPad Mini for my mom. I then briefly owned 2 6th generation iPad Minis, the ones with the redesign. Yeah. So, and I've also owned the the Nexus 7. That was many years ago. I don't know if I kept that very long. I think I've given the Amazon Kindles a try, but those things are like throwaway tablets. I've had a Surface, which is a full blown computer, but with a touchscreen and has a removable keyboard dock. Yeah, and in terms of user experience, I definitely prefer Windows to Mac OS and Android to iOS. But yeah, my main cell phone is an iPhone because of iMessage, and I'll be perfectly honest with that. iMessage is really the only reason I stick with iPhone. And I actually ended up selling or returning or giving away all those iPads that I've ever owned. Because yeah, in fact, I think I sold all of them. I just don't really care for them. I personally don't have a need for a tablet. If I need a bigger screen, I go to a computer.
And yet, one of my best friends has been an Android tablet faithful for years, and real recently, my dad made me help him find a suitable Android tablet, despite my mother and I insisting on an iPad.
And yeah, even though I told you I don't prefer tablets in general, and of course that means I don't have any iPads anymore. Yeah, it has gotten to the point where it's like, well, if somebody needs a tablet, just get them an iPad and just move on with life. So for his dad to be pretty strict on wanting an Android tablet, and I think he'll mention a reason or two later on in the video. But kudos to him. Yeah, kudos to him.
They may not be many, but people are buying Android tablets, and I don't know, maybe I'm missing something. Maybe Android is worth some attention. So I used this one for 10 days to find out.
And personally, I don't know. Is 10 days long enough to try to fully get the experience of it? It might be. I mean, yeah, I assume he might meant maybe 2 full working weeks. Was it 10 consecutive days? He'll show, kind of what he used it for. And maybe I'm just nitpicking of, well, 2 work weeks, 10 consecutive days. What specifically did you do in between? Were you going back to your iPad? Well, if you have an iPhone still, part of the user experience most likely isn't going to be as good as it could be. If you had a Galaxy S22 or S20, whatever, maybe your experience with the tablet might have been a little different. So still some questions that one would ask, but at the end of the day, it's a 10-minute YouTube video. So we can't expect him to have tried every single possible scenario.
Can I get a white mocha? At Google.
And see, even the cinematography of his videos, I enjoy. Like him scanning his credit card right there, like has nothing to do with the video at all. But it's just those added little subtle things that I thoroughly enjoy about his videos.
Latest I/O, they announced an upcoming Pixel tablet. And that might actually bode well for this guy because it means that Google's putting effort into making Android work for tablets.
And even though they're making a tablet, Google still doesn't necessarily mean they're putting effort forth. I mean, Android tablets have existed for a while. And I think as a result of phone screens getting bigger and then the possibility of phones folding, tablets have to be given some attention now. But personally, when it comes to Google's actual hardware products, so not Android, but the actual hardware that Google might release running Android, um, I don't know if I can say that it's always been a good experience. So Pixels have always had their issues. I mean, all phones have issues, but I feel like Pixels in particular, if you look back, there have been issues with a lot of them. And then, yeah, just most recently with the 6, it has been a nightmare for Pixel 6 owners. Um, and I think it's evident when it comes to seeing the security updates and how you used to know it, the first Monday of every month, they'd be released. And they got to the point where Google would release the security updates for all phones supported, not including the Pixel 6 on that first Monday. And then the Pixel 6 update will come at a later date. The in-display fingerprint reader has given users a lot of issues. And I'm sure there's some other things I just can't think of. I don't own one right now. I'll probably end up purchasing a 6A. But yeah, any type of Google hardware, I'm just like, I don't know. I don't know if I want the first generation of anything that. So the Pixel tablet, the Pixel watch, not sure if I'm going to get either one of those.
The thing is, they've tried this before, many times in fact. Let me rewind. A year after the launch of the iPad, Google released Android version 3 Honeycomb, made exclusively for tablets. It featured a 2-pane UI for email and contacts, browser windows with tabs, and a larger keyboard for larger screens. The hope was that developers would write tablet apps like they were doing for iOS, but they didn't. So what we ended up getting is just very wide phone apps.
And I want, whose fault is that? Yeah, Google provided the platform for developers to create, and the developers chose not to. At that point, the iPad wasn't super popular yet, so it wasn't like the developers were just saying, well, I'm just going to develop for the iPad. So yeah, I wonder why didn't developers do that? And I think it might have just been that tablets were back then ahead of their time. And even still now, there's a very specific demographic that needs a tablet for more than just entertainment purposes. Because no matter what we attempt to do, and that might change in the coming years, but at least as of right now, the tablet is that hybrid device. You have a phone and you have a computer. Together, you can get everything done. What does the tablet add to that, aside from being able to maybe rest it on, its side or on your stomach or something, and you can watch a movie. But to use it as a full-blown work device, you have most likely a laptop for that. I think his name is Jonathan, actually. But the host of Mac Address here attempted to use an iPad mini as a phone replacement. And you can't quite do that, even though you can buy a cellular model of the iPad mini. So it's like, well, I can't just use this as a replacement for both devices. So what is it for? And speaking specifically of the iPad, it would be nice maybe if you could use it as a phone replacement if you bought the cellular model. But then it's like, well, I also want my Apple Watch to work, but the Apple Watch app is only available on the iPhone. So you couldn't even do it then. So again, it's this middle ground device that developers, I'm sure, are like, I don't know how many people I'm going to hit with that. But as the iPad grew in popularity, then developers started saying, hey, well, maybe we should start developing for the iPad. But at that point, I feel Google and Android in general, when it came to the tablet field, it just kind of died off.
The Nexus 7, released a year later, was more reasonable. Basically, a big phone before phones got really big. The extra real estate.
And that's why, yeah, I think it was just ahead of its time. I think there were 2 generations of the Nexus 7. And the second one, improved upon whatever of the first generation. But yeah, I just think they were ahead of their time. And however the iPad started putting its foothold in to make it what it is today, Android was just like, we'll just focus on phones.
Made it nicer for watching and reading, but didn't push the capability. And because it was only $200, people didn't have huge expectations for it either. Apple dutifully and incrementally worked away at their iPad in that time, making it more useful through some multitasking, new features, and accessories. This evolution was a test of patience, but it's quite staggering how much more capable the iPad is than its predecessor, or its competitors. Oh, right, the Samsung.
See, I enjoy watching this stuff. And I know it was all written, but yeah, we're now talking about the iPad. Oh, wait a minute. This video is about the Samsung. so yeah, but that's what it is like. The iPad is just so far ahead in terms of usability because of all of the app developers that, yeah, when it comes to thinking about tablets, it's like, oh yeah, other ones exist, but why? But competition is good. So we need Samsung and other manufacturers, and heck, yes, even Google with the Pixel tablet. We need them to be present. But at the same time, it's just like, well, let's hope you get a foothold and people actually buy your crap and developers develop for it.
Sales-wise, Samsung is the only game around in the Android tablet space, and their brand new Galaxy Tab S8, is the flagship model. It's available in 3 sizes and many prices. This is the smallest and provides the closest competitor to the recently updated iPad Air. I'll happily admit that it's a decent tablet. Performance is snappy and the high refresh rate screen looks nice. It's a pleasant departure from the experience I had with the Samsung Galaxy A53. And it even has many compelling features that the iPad doesn't even offer. The webcam is in the correct place, on the long side. There's a fingerprint reader and face recognition. And perhaps the feature I'm most envious of is the micro SD card slot for expansion. Handy if you want to back up photos taken with a non-mobile phone camera.
And I wish Samsung kept that expandability on the phone. Yeah, it kind of sucks. Like I'm recording this right here on an S22, and yeah, they did away with the expandable storage. So yeah, kind of disappointed about that. But I mean, kudos for those who buy a tablet and then need to expand their storage. So whatever. Also, so there's the micro SD card, but there's also the, I think not express card. There's some other type of faster storage that I know is available on Samsung Chromebooks. I wonder if that particular port or that slot on that on this tablet supports those faster storage cards, whatever they're actually called.
Or just expand storage without shelling out hundreds of dollars. This is what made the iPad a non-starter for my dad. So the Android tablet looks pretty compelling. They fixed it. Well, not quite, and let me explain why after a word from this video's sponsor, Squarespace. Now, here at Linus Media Group, we use Squarespace. Why? Their all-in-one platform makes it easy to both build and maintain any sort of website. They've got a ton of templates optimized for all screen sizes, and a wide variety of third-party extensions to expand your site with other platforms when your site grows. Which is easy with Squarespace. Get started today at squarespace.com/MacAddress to get 10% off your first purchase. So yes, it has an SD card slot, but look at it. It's not centered. Neither is the USB-C port either. Okay, so this is pedantic
Yeah, minor complaints, but yeah, minor complaints.
hardware niggles. But take a look at this. If I have to continue to type on this on-screen keyboard, I'm going to pull a phalange. These wide buttons are just ridiculous. Apple, in their wisdom, kept their on-screen keyboard proportional. Samsung's isn't even that bad. Look at Google's. I swear their honeycomb keyboard was better. Unfortunately, there are some great tablet apps that I use regularly that aren't even available on Android. Craigslist and Procreate, to name a few. And most of the ones that are available are just so much worse on Android. It's not even close. Here.
But if you build it, they will come. So if Google does decide to continue its quest to improve Android for tablets, then developers will see that, and hopefully some consumers will buy some tablets, and then developers will start developing. So hopefully his complaints definitely are valid, but hopefully as time goes on, which I know it's been a while, but hopefully developers will come as long as Google puts the effort forth.
Take a look at this. On iPad, Twitter takes thoughtful advantage of portrait and landscape orientations, whereas on Android, it doesn't. Look at my tweets, they span the whole width. This is too big. Some apps like AutoTrader or Kijiji won't even rotate to landscape. Same with Instagram. Wait, what? You can get Instagram on a tablet? That's it, I'm buying Android.
And see, there's a difference that for some people would make. I don't know how it looked when you actually opened the Instagram app, but yeah, Instagram is not available as an iPad app, I believe. So yeah, it's the developers. You can't just say, well, the platform sucks because there aren't any apps. It's like, well, I mean, yeah, there's a reason there aren't any apps, but at the end of the day, Google isn't developing all the apps. So, and of course, Apple isn't developing all the apps on their platforms as well. So yeah, hopefully developers come.
Figuring out multitasking has been a pain point on the iPad for a while now, but on the Galaxy, whoa, is it ever unintuitive. You want to go into split screen? You have to tap on an app icon in the app switcher, but instead of that going next to the app you already have open, it asks what you want to fill the other space with. The app I had open. Another option is to drag over this little nub, which conceals a dock from where you can drag apps out. And there's more. You can make apps free-floating, a bit like Slide Over, with some more flexibility at the cost of usability. And if you go back home, they become a little bauble that groups together if you have multiple floating windows.
And we're all different. So that's why I can't complain about the effort being put forth. But for me, at least, if I need to be productive, I get a desktop class or a desktop class operating system. So I have a laptop. A lot of people have laptops. Trying to do all this stuff with touch interface, it's not intuitive. And I don't want to say it's worse, but a keyboard, a dedicated hardware keyboard and a mouse with a windowing system is just easier. I mean, it is. I mean, yes, of course, we're all used to it, but the learning curve right here of trying to get things to work the way you want to, whether it's the iPad or this Galaxy tablet, to me, just isn't worth it. I mean, cost alone of the tablet, trying to replace the laptop, or if you don't have either and you're trying to figure out which one to purchase, especially if the price is similar, just get the laptop. I mean, whether it's Windows or Mac OS, get the laptop. Now, I know iPads are cheaper, but if we're talking about iPad Pros, then it's like, well, no, just go get the MacBook. So yeah, the struggles he's experiencing, I know I would too. And that's probably one of the reasons I'm just not going to get one, because I don't feel like having to figure out how to force myself to learn these things when I am capable of doing everything that I would want to do on the tablet on my laptop. But the space needs to, well, it doesn't need to exist, but it does exist. So we might as well do what we can to try to improve upon it.
Which reminds me of Samsung's DeX feature, which turns your Android tablet into a desktop computer ready for a mouse and keyboard.
It looks like a big Samsung phone.
Some people got mad at Riley for ignoring DeX in his short-circuit Galaxy Tab S8 Ultra unboxing, but there's really nothing to see here. On a small screen like this, it's really more of a hassle to be managing and moving around all these windows that are even smaller. If you think that this is going to be a suitable computer replacement, well, good luck to you.
Yeah, and that's it. It's what's the point of the tablet? Like I don't know. And, cheap iPads have their place. Amazon Fire Kindles, whatever they're called, like not just the regular e-reader, but the Amazon Kindle Fires have their place. But yeah, if we're talking about hundreds or over $1,000 for a tablet, I'm trying to understand what is this going to give you that a Mac OS or Windows laptop isn't going to give you. And if your answer is a touchscreen, well, it's like, well, you might want to reconsider how valuable or how important that touchscreen is to you.
This is the opposite of how the iPad works. Since Apple assumes you probably have multiples of their devices, they've given us universal control. So instead of extending your tablet into a computer, the iPad becomes an extension of your Mac. But with iPad OS 16, Apple appears to be going in Samsung's direction with Stage Manager. It allows for the sort of app windowing people have been pining for. This, however, is not a desktop. Windows can be grouped, resized, and moved, but not to anywhere on screen. And we're still in beta, so we'll have to find out how it works.
And yeah, just like anything that Apple releases, they have to do it their specific way with whatever limitations they impose. And the thing that I still hate to this day is the app library on the iPhone, and I guess it's on the iPad too. I don't know, but I'm picking up my iPhone right now. I unlock it. My home screen at this point is just the 4 apps at the bottom and a blank home screen. I don't have anything on the home screen because I don't like that I can't just move stuff around where I need it to be. Maybe I could put a widget there for something. Maybe I'll give it a try. I don't know. But when I swipe over to the app library, I don't need a pre-curated grouping of apps that Apple has curated for me. This is stupid. This is the exact opposite of what I want because I just need an alphabetical list. Okay, if I wanted folders, which is what this app library is, I'd put folders on my home screen. The app library is stupid. The app drawer, which is how it's implemented on Android, is more intuitive. It's just, hey, here's an alphabetical listing. In fact, it doesn't have to be alphabetical, but it makes sense for it to be an alphabetical listing of everything that I have. But for me to have to swipe over to get the app library, to have a view of apps that I don't intuitively know where they are because Apple decides to group them where they want them to be, for me to then have to swipe down to get the alphabetical list of apps, or for me to be on the app library home and then tap in the little search thing to then search for the apps, you're adding an unnecessary step, okay? Is it possible that Google has some type of patent over just having an alphabetical list of apps? I don't know. It's possible, but it doesn't seem like they would. But yeah, Apple has to do it their Apple way just to make it more complex than it needs to be. Why can't these windows just be free floating?
Later on. Though this seems like the iPad is getting closer to DeX, Apple is taking the approach of trickling concepts from the desktop to the tablet in an intentional way, instead of just dragging the platform kicking and screaming with existing desktop paradigms.
So this year, we've been working hard to make Android tablets amazing.
With their tablet announcement, Google showed the progress they made on their tablet interface for Android 13, and they updated apps to take advantage of the larger screen. Sound familiar? I have the beta installed on this Lenovo, and yeah, there are some good ideas in here. They're so good, I swear I've used them before. It's neat to see Android make sense in this form factor. It's taken long enough, though we might actually see some progress this time around. Though, they're gonna have to act fast. Because as folding phones become more viable, developers are going to want to make sure their apps work well on them. And folding phones are just small tablets.
I hope I never end up buying a folding phone, but depending on what's available for sale in 7 years, it might be my only choice.
That's a long ways off, but what about now? Well, if you have an iPhone, then you should get an iPad. And if you have an Android phone, well, you should probably still get an iPad.
Yep, and I agree. I couldn't agree more. Yeah, even if you have an iPhone, even if you have an Android phone, just still get an iPad. And then you'll probably end up getting an iPhone later on, just to add to the seamless experience. But yeah.
And if you want even a decent Android tablet, you're not even going to save all that much. This starts at $700. This iPad Air is $100 less.
Just
sure,
get the
it's missing
iPad.
half the Samsung storage, but the Samsung is missing so much more.
And yeah, price is a thing. And of course, yeah, having the iPad start at 64 gigs as opposed to 128. I still don't like that Apple even does that. They up the minimum storage in the iPhone. Why not do it in all the iPads? I mean, for the super cheap 329 one, I could see maybe 64 being okay. But yeah, it's just why? In 2022, 64 is not enough.
I missed GarageBand. I missed Universal Control. I missed the snappy app switching. I missed the squarer, more flexible aspect ratio. I missed slide over. I missed all the tablet optimized apps. I always debate people from our sister channel, LTT, about the iPad. They don't really understand how a focused tablet-like device can be useful. Why am I paying for 2 devices when I can get one foldable laptop that does it all? Well...
Yeah. Because one device that does it all might not be that great of an experience. So, yeah.
Maybe this mindset is present at Google too. I mean, they still do sell Chrome OS tablets for some reason, but it's the form factor, stupid, and if you don't get it, you won't commit to it, which is why after 11 years, Google is starting all over again with Android. I wish them luck, and maybe in a decade, I'll give it another go. Thanks for tapping into this MAC address. If you like the iPad more than Android, give this video a like. And if you have an Android tablet looking enviously at us with iPads, then you must subscribe. Now, when I wrote this script, I didn't know about Apple unveiling State Manager and the windowing mode in the iPad OS, so it sort of changes the perspective just a little bit from what I initially thought. But
yeah, and in summary, and he's pretty much done right there. In fact, I'll let him finish talking.
I'm curious how you feel about the iPad becoming a little bit more desktop-like. Does it make it even better than an Android tablet?
Nah. I mean, it's everybody has their own opinions. And yeah, after watching this video and after having used tablets, mainly iPads recently, but yeah, like everything that I've said already, I still don't know how exactly this fits into the realm of people who have phones and computers to use a tablet for anything more than just entertainment reasons. Like, hey, I want to watch something and I just want to watch it on a bigger screen, but I don't want to watch it on my television and I don't want to watch it on my laptop, so I'll watch it on my tablet. I mean, yeah, I do know there are the people out there who do use these devices for pro reasons. But yeah, when I'm thinking about the price and how much you have to learn when it comes to touch interface and just another operating system, whether it's Android or it's iPad OS, yeah, it just doesn't seem like it's worth it.